13 years ago, audiences across America were horrified by the savagery of a faceless killer. In the wake of this bizarre rampage, he vanished. Now, after more than a decade of silence, he has come out of hiding. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. The Buzz is back. Directed by Tobe Hooper.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, directed by Tobe Hooper, belongs right up there with Aliens and Terminator 2 as one of the best sequels ever made. Where the original was all about gritty realism and relentless terror, the sequel is like a parody that cranks the Sawyer family insanity all the way up and goes in the polar opposite direction with the gratuitous gore. Stretch, played by Caroline Williams, is a radio DJ who accidentally records the sound of a chainsaw massacre during a live call on her show. This catches the attention of Lefty, played by Dennis Hopper, a former Texas Ranger hell-bent on avenging the death of his nephew Franklin from the first film. Lefty himself is as unhinged as the Sawyer family, armed with his own set of chainsaws and righteous retribution. His hunt for the Sawyers becomes something like Pale Rider meets Dirty Harry if it was directed by David Lynch. The fact that it's Dennis Hopper only makes the character more insanely entertaining. Lefty sets up Stretch to use her as bait to lure the Sawyers out, and he arrives too late to prevent her from falling into their dungeon. She is chased through underground lairs and butcher shops as Leatherface develops a sick attraction to her that is honestly one of the best parts of the movie. Leatherface is a bit more complex this time around, less pure evil, and more of a confused monster trying to reconcile his violent nature with his twisted infatuation. All that being said, this movie belongs to Bill Moseley as Chop Top, the manic, metal-plated brother of Leatherface. He owns every moment he's on screen, and almost eclipses Dennis Hopper's level of crazy. Chop Top practically represents all that's deranged about the Sawyer family, with his constant babbling, manic energy, and his disgusting habit he has of picking off and eating bits of his scalp, barely clinging to the metal plate in his head. Some people don't care for the shift in tone from horror to dark comedy, but that's what I love about it. Tom Savini brings some of the most gruesome practical effects he ever did because he was just let loose. Realism wasn't as important as just making this movie mirror the nasty reputation that the original has for gore that was never actually shown. My favorite scene is the chainsaw duel between Lefty and Leatherface. It shows that it truly takes madness to defeat madness, as Lefty introduces himself as the Lord of the Harvest and becomes Cowboy Ben Kenobi versus Darth Cannibalism. Come to think of it, the Star Wars sequels could have used a few more chainsaw duels. I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 years before I had a chance to see the original. It was one of the many recordings we had on VHS from satellite TV. That may be why I prefer it. I can't remember ever being scared by it. I've always just loved the chaotic, dark comedy and gore, which just isn't there in the original. It's an entrails-festooned amusement park rampage that relentlessly spirals into madhouse carnage. Bring it all down in the Devil's Playground and press play.
Dog wheel hunt! Get that bitch, Leatherface! Get that bitch! Dog wheel hunt!